started realizing that Iran is not a good place to live.
And when you say people, you mean the people inside Iran?
Inside Iran. And everyone who could, they started immigrating to other countries, like basically Western countries, US, Canada, Europe, Australia.
And when did that migration start?
I would say it has started right after the previous revolution.
Okay, so
because some people realize it like really early. But the wave, it started, I would say, like 20 years ago.
Okay, so like in 2000-ish time frame?
2000, yeah, exactly. Okay. When everybody realized that, basically. And everybody was just trying to immigrate to other countries, but it wasn't an option for everyone, right?
Sure.
You either need to have money or you need to have a good education to be able to immigrate to other countries and also be successful, and like even like to just be accepted, right?
So is it like when you were growing up, like around 2000, you're in high school or just starting high school, was it like a dream of yours to move out of Iran?
For me personally, it has started when I was about 20-ish.
Okay.
In my early 20, I started thinking about that. But as I mentioned, it's not an easy thing to do, right? It's a long process. As I mentioned, you need to have money, either money, you need to have education. And it's also kind of, for most people, it's like an unknown destination, right? You just don't know, right? Because when living in Iran, you are not able to visit other countries easily. Like even if you want to visit any other country, you need to apply for a visa. That's a process. And then you still need to have enough money to apply for the visa and then to go visit other countries. So basically, it's kind of an unknown world outside Iran for people inside.
And is that because Iran's making it difficult, or external countries are making it hard? Or is it both?
It's basically both, I would say. But because the government of Iran doesn't have a good relationship with Western countries, that's really difficult to get a visa. Like usually when you have a like Canadian passport, for example, and if you want to travel somewhere else, you don't require to apply for a visa. You just get a flight, get a ticket, and then just go there, show your passport, and you are there, right?
For sure.
But if you are in Iran and you want to come to Canada, for example, just for a visit, you need to apply for a visa it's called like visitor visa. And just to apply for a visitor visa, you need to go like for a long process. Maybe it takes about like 6 months to a year. And you need to show lots of documents of what you were doing in Iran. And you need to show that you have enough money. I mean, and there's a reason for that, right? Like everybody wanted to get out of Iran. And there are people who just get a visitor visa. They go to other countries and they just become refugees, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have any other way to do that, right? And because of that, it's just difficult, very difficult. Yeah, with Iranian passport, at the moment you probably just can travel to a couple of countries, which are not great.
Is Canada on that list?
No, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
It's not. You can just go, I think, to Russia, I guess.
Okay.
Venezuela. and some other countries like that. So I'm not gonna get into that. Uh, yeah. Where was I? There's a lot.
So you were coming over with Mona, your wife. You were going to get married, and you were talking about where to live.
Yep. So I was talking about how people, like the wave of immigration started in Iran, and then about like 10 years ago, basically everyone's talking about immigration. Like everyone's just talking, I want to go. I just want to go. And previously, people had like a goal for immigration. By goal, I mean like they wanted to go to Germany, for example, or they wanted to go to the US or to Canada for some specific reasons. But like about 10 years ago, people just wanted to get out.
I see.
It's kind of like escaping from the country. And it doesn't matter really where you go, because everywhere you go is probably just a better situation for life. And then we started talking about that. My wife and I started talking about that, and we were about to get married. And we said we either should start our life here, or we should just get married and go. And we did that. We did the later. So yeah, we had a couple of options. We talked about Germany. We talked about Canada. We did our research, and we finally chose to come to Canada.
And so why did you pick Canada?
There are a couple of reasons. When we did our due diligence, we realized that it's much easier to become a first-class citizen in Canada for an immigrant. That was, I would say, the most important factor in our decision. And yeah, that's basically it. And the other factor was that like my wife's uncle was living in Vancouver.
Okay, sure.
And he lives in Vancouver with his family, and we wanted to go somewhere that we at least know a couple people.
I completely understand that. Like,
yeah,
you
need support.
You're going across the ocean.
Yes.
Like you want to meet someone, like people that you know, right? Like
exactly. And yeah, and we chose Vancouver because my wife's uncle lives in Vancouver. So yeah, we made our decision. We started applying to come to Canada.
So what's that process like? Like as an Iranian citizen, coming to Canada, like what did you have to do like to be able to come over here?
Yep. There are a couple of ways that you can come to Canada as an Iranian. If you wanna do like that, I would say like the best way to come to Canada is a program called Express Entry. You probably already know about that. But that's really difficult especially when you are in Iran. That's a very difficult process for you because usually for people in Iran, if I wanna like talk about specific things, is that when you wanna apply for Express Entry, you need to have gather points. Like by points, I mean like your education has points. If you are married, you have some point. You get some point. Like
if you're younger,
you get points. Like your English exam test.
If you speak French.
Exactly. If you speak French, all of this. And when you live in Iran, it's usually really difficult to get enough points to enter this program. And so there are a couple other solutions that you can do. For example, you can apply for a university here. Um, you can get a job offer from a company in Canada, but that's also really difficult. And one of the reasons is that Iran doesn't have like really good relationship with other countries,
Sure.
right? For example, if you are living in Canada or you are living in Germany, for example, and you want to apply for a job in Canada, I think it makes more sense for a Canadian company to talk and interview a person who's living in Germany, right, or in the U.S. Like I think it happened to you, right?
Oh, 100%. Like as you know, like Iran, it's on a lot of countries. Well, I would call it blacklist, right?
Blacklist.
Like you work for Shopify, right? And you're not allowed to work in Iran from Shopify in Canada.
Exactly. That's the same, right? That's the same for
It's
most
the
of
same
the
for
companies.
yes.
For most of the companies, right?
For US for
exactly. So job offer is kinda out, and we started thinking about like applying for university. So we talked about it. My wife applied for a university in Vancouver, and she got accepted. And we started applying. Like when you get accepted from university, you now need to apply for a visa, for a student visa. So she was in the process of like her application basically was in the process, and it took about 6 months or so when she got actually like her student visa.
So she got accepted in university.
Yes.
After she got accepted, it took 6 months.
Yes.
Just to get the visa process.
The visa.
And how much time did she spend trying to get into school?
Before visa, you mean?
Like
to get the acceptance?
Yeah.
About I would say 2 months or so.
2 months.
Somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking around like 8 months. Okay.
Exactly. And that's just her.
And that's just her.
And now the partner of a student is able to apply for a work permit.
Okay.
And now when we got her student visa, I applied for a work permit for myself.
And you're still in Iran at this point?
Still behind.
So you're both still in Iran. It's been 8 months. Your wife's been accepted to school. Exactly. She has a visa. And now you're getting your work permit.
Exactly. And now it takes about another 4 months for me to get a work permit. And almost basically a year for both of us.
And you're a high skilled worker. You're a software developer.
I am a software developer. Yeah, I've been a software developer like for 10 years before even I applied for Canadian work permit.
And your wife, did she have previous schooling, university, but before she came to Canada?
Yes, almost the same as me. She graduated as a software engineer. She also studied computer engineering in Iran. And she had a bachelor, right? Basically, a bachelor of computer science. And she applied for a master program in Canada.
So 1 year later, you have all your ducks lined up.
Yes.
And you're flying over to Canada.
Yes, exactly.
What was it like when you're inside that plane and you're going over? Like, what were the thoughts going through your head?
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a lot of mixed feelings, I would say. A lot. Like it's just in immigration, it's much easier if you are younger, right?
Sure.
The younger you are, the easier you even get on the flight on the airplane, right? Because it's just you've done a lot in your life. We were at our like early 30s, when we came to Canada, and we had like a lot of basically mm, connections in Iran, right? Our friends, our family, and we are like basically kind of in the middle of our life.
Yeah.
And now you have to start from scratch. And when I say start from scratch, it's actually starting from scratch, right? Because you're coming to a place you usually don't know anyone here, or if you know, it's like really little.
Yeah, you've never met the people that you worked with.
No,
you don't have any friends.
You don't have any friends, and you probably have to spend all of your savings just to come to Canada.
If you don't mind me ask,
Sure.
How much did you spend to come to Canada?
I spent somewhere around like for the whole process.
Yeah.
Coming and settling in Canada, we spent somewhere around 30 grand. 30K.
30K Canadian. So that's probably like 25K USD just for the American listeners.
And that's a saving of two people working for almost 10 years in Iran and not even paying for rent. Yeah, and that's a big decision, right? Because I remember, and I talked a little bit about inflation, and now I can actually give you an example that I talk about with all of my friends when I talk about like our immigration process. When we started our application, every Canadian dollar is equivalent to 3,000 Toman, which is basically the unit, the currency of Iran, right? 3,000.
So for every $1 Canadian, 3,000. I'm gonna call them Iranian dollars.
Iranian dollars, yes, something like that. And then, as I mentioned, my wife's uncle lives in Vancouver, and he came to Iran for a visit, like visiting family. And then we started talking to him like about the cost of living and everything, did the calculation. And he said, like, based on that calculation, we realized that with our saving, if we come to Canada and we don't have a job, we should be able to live for a year, for example, right? Okay. Something like that. Because like one of the biggest worries is job, right? When you're coming to Canada, you don't have a job.
Yes.
It's expensive and you just have to survive, right? And we were thinking about worst case scenarios, right? And we realized that without a job, we should be able, with converting our saving to Canadian dollar, with that 3,000 in your mind, we're able to live for a year. And then the time, as I mentioned, it took us about a year, and I'm talking about a year later. And now every Canadian dollar is 10,000 Iranian dollars because of inflation and like everything that's happening.
So all of a sudden, you can't live there for 1 year. Like
it's just 3 months
without a job. It's 3 months.
It's just 3 months, right? And that's even make it harder, right? So we came here and we didn't even like in our calculation, we were wrong, and we didn't even like involve a cost of furniture and like a new home and everything. So basically we came here, we paid the tuition fees for university for my wife, and we bought some really basic furniture from Facebook Marketplace and everywhere we could. And now we are out of money. And that was really.
So what's that stress like?